Okay. Hello?
Yeah, I'm here.
Alright. How's everything going with Eric, and what happened with Giant Records?
Everything's going great with Earache and Giant Records. Basically we didn't sell, I guess, as many records as they need us to, so they let us go.
Right on. Okay, what different variations of languages were used to capture the creation of formulas fatal to the flesh, and do you expect this to have any effect on Morbid Angel listeners, and if so, what?
Break that down for me. What's the first part of that question?
Okay, so what different variations of languages were used to capture the creation of formulas fatal to the flesh?
Okay, that question. I'm using my own personal coded Sumerian spirit language.
Okay. And do you expect this to have any effect on Morbid Angel listeners, and if so, what?
It's all part of the art, I think it just gives it a little bit more flavor as far as to the listeners. For myself, it means everything, because it's my spirit language that I talk to my Godhead with, or, part of it. As far as what kind of impact, I don't know, our band has always used little bits and pieces of Sumerian stuff here and there, like in Lord of All Fears and Plague, there's a little bit of that used in there. I don't know, it's hard to anticipate what kind of impact it'll make on the fans. Hopefully they'll appreciate the extra effort and the imagination that's involved in it. You know what I mean?
Definitely do. Okay, how have things been for you outside of Morbid Angel?
How have things been for Morbid Angel?
How have things been for you yourself outside of Morbid Angel?
Phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal.
Right on.
See, basically I worked out this thing about, how can I say it, my own personal ideologies and philosophies that, I spent a lot of time working on, and, getting different ideas from different sources of books and contemplations and meditations and all that good stuff. And, my whole thing is I'm not really into just reading a bunch of books and collecting a lot of information. I like to act upon it. So I've really been working on a great formula for being unstoppable in life, and to be able to manifest things in my life the way that I see fit, the idea of designing my own life the way that I want it to be into a masterpiece, and I'm excited about it, which is the absolute opposite of just being stuck in some, shitty situation. And, some of that surfaces in the lyrics, and a lot of that surfaces in the other written material that I have on the album, as far as when I talk about the living continuum and the triumvirate of the Most High, and the three power names, Cthulhu, Hapsu, Almost Galana, and what they stand for. Basically, to break it down real easy for you, it's Cthulhu stands for I am the living active God. Basically, that means it's up to me to make the happenings in my life. It's up to me to create the things in my life. I'm the one that's going to do it. I'm not waiting for anybody else. Number two, Hapsu, that's the driving force, the true will. My true will cannot be denied. Basically, that means that I will choose where I'm going to go in life, and I will design my own life and make my life the way I want it to be through my choice of key decisions and commitments. That's part of that, that's one of the gifts that I feel that we're given is our willpower, and then the next part is Almost Galana, which means I create myself as well as my world, which is basically attributed to our imagination, our creative faculty, creative visualization, all that stuff. And that's where we dream up our, our design for what we want to do in life. That's where we come up with our ideas and strategies and whatever, and that's how we can represent life to ourselves in a way that we feel excited about as much as possible, or, people can choose to represent things to themselves ugly and feel ugly all the time. So basically, these are concepts that I use day to day in my life, and they're very real to me. I think it's really, to me, it's Satanism, but it's Satanism where it has an end to the destruction, and now there's also a time for building what's great about your life. It's important to destroy bad belief systems or limitations or whatever, things like that. It's important, like Christianity to me, for an example, you know, a person being maybe raised in a Christian environment, and they could be limited by all that slop that the Christians try to throw on you, like, you know, love everybody and blah, 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 and you got to follow Christ, and if you don't, then you're a loser, or you're going to go to hell. All that crap, you know, garbage. So it's like, you know, some people could actually, like myself, for instance, I was raised like that, and it was a limitation. It was like these really shitty beliefs that were conditioned into me. So basically, Satanism, the first step of Satanism is to destroy all that crap, to fucking annihilate the way that it would hold you.
Right on.
Limiting beliefs. And then after you destroy it, and you've knocked down all these walls, all these limitations, you've destroyed all the chains and shackles and whatever. The next step is, to me, to, you know, now that you're the one in charge, is what are you going to do with yourself? So I'm putting together some really neat power affirmations and formulas for people to build a great life, which a lot of it's based on, like, say, what Tony Robbins was talking about, and as far as other people, like, there's an old book called The Master Key that's a lot of the stuff that Tony Robbins talks about today, but, you know, it's written in a more of an older kind of English. And Tony Robbins is like the guy that takes a lot of these wonderful strategies about personal power and utilizing your driving force and creativity and just being the man and getting things shaking and booming in your life. You know, he's the guy today that's making it the most practical. And to me, that's what's important, is to be able to use information and act upon it, not just to collect it and talk about it and say, oh, that's all cool and whatever. It's all about using it, applying it daily in your life. So, you know, for people that saying, oh, what's this guy talking about? Well, you know, I would encourage people to at least check out one of Tony Robbins' books, you know, like Awaken the Giant Within or Unlimited Power. And a lot of the stuff I'm talking about is kind of based on a lot of that, and then his stuff is also based on other stuff that I've read that too, and, you know, it's just, how can I say it? His books are very complete, and they give you great steps on being unstoppable in life, and being excited about life, and designing your own life. And I'm not writing a book, so, like, to really get deep into the technique without the mystery and without the occult implications and the magic and the Godhead names and all that shit, you know, his books are beautiful to, like, get into it and, like, say, wow, you know, okay, I understand what's going on. But also myself, I've been writing a lot of stuff. I've included some of it in the lyrics. I've included some of it in the lyric sheets, like poems and affirmations, and also on our Morbid Angel website, which is morbidangel.com. I'm going to be supplying a lot of, you know, material for that are basically my contemplations about things, my ideas, just offering it to share with people. They don't have to believe it, they don't have to like it or whatever, but it's just there, you know, to check out whatever. It's definitely what motivates the band. It's definitely what made made this album what it is. So if anybody's interested in that, then that's where you find it. And also, you know, contemplations, and also incantations, magical rituals of the magical words used. You know, that type of shit too. I'll be giving a lot of that stuff up. And also there's a magical ritual, the words of the ritual, and a great incantation of the living continuum that's in the lyric sheet of this new album. Plus a basic description of what the living continuum is, and what's this triumvirate of gods, and what's all that mean. It's all, you know, some of it's in the lyrics, and then a lot of it will be on the web page and stuff like that.
Cool.
You know, I just talked for fucking a half hour. I'm sorry, but when I'm talking about, you know, you're asking about, you know, the album, and it's a pretty involved thing, but not that everyone has to go that deep into it to enjoy it. You know, a lot of people can just keep it simple and say, you know, here's the music, cool, I like it. I don't want to think about all this stuff because, you know, I'm too busy with my other, you know, things in life. Anyway, I'm sorry, go ahead.
But not so here. I'll check it all out.
Well, I'll tell you what, let's take a second from this interview, and why don't you give me your email address, if you have one.
I don't have one.
Or your fax machine, and I will go ahead and fax you or email you some of this shit so you can be reading it right now.
But I don't have either, actually.
But you have to talk loud. I can't hear you very well.
Okay. I don't have either, actually. I just, you know, I have a home address. That's about.
Okay, well, then I guess you have to wait, because I'm not going to send it normal mail.
Okay.
But either way, you'll be able to see it no matter what. You'll be able to see it when you actually get a real copy of the album that has the extra things in it. And if right about the release of the album, around February 24th, if you ever get to a computer that's online, you can, like, you know, go to our Morbid Angel webpage. About that time is when I'm going to have this stuff on there. It's not on there right now, but it will be.
Okay.
And then you can, like, find it and print it. You know what I mean? And then you'll have it.
I was wondering, I've seen in the...
I can't hear you that well.
I saw in this magazine
Yeah?
that if you pre-order Formula's Fatal, that it comes with some kind of gift, Morbid Angel gift.
A Morbid Angel gift?
Yeah, it was in Metal Maniacs. It said if you
Yeah, I think that's for whoever wants to pre-order it that way. They'll get either like a signed poster of the album cover and or a signed group picture. I think it's probably both.
Right.
I think there's only like 100 available, so it's like the first 100 people that jump on that, they'll get, you know, a picture and poster. The poster will probably be killing.
Okay.
I can't wait myself to get the fucking poster because I really like the album cover, and I'd like to get a big, you know, glossy print of it, and I think that's what the poster will be.
Right on. I'm going to try to hurry up and get on that, ordering it. So.
Now also, there might be some people doing some shit like making their own copy of the album, like a CDI or whatever,
Right.
and then trying to sell it that way, bootlegging, and I wouldn't fall into that, and those people will die.
I hear you.
So, you know, just to radiate that message. Anybody that tries to do that will die.
Cool.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. Concentrating on the supporters and always existent slackers of Morbid Angel, how many Covenant of Death members exist in the United States?
I'm sorry, what was that again?
Okay, concentrating on the supporters and always existent slackers of Morbid Angel, how many Covenant of Death members exist in the United States?
The slackers of Morbid Angel, who are they?
People that, I don't know, I would consider people that just listen to it, don't get involved, and, you know, perhaps join the fan club.
People might have too many things going on in their life, and maybe they just want to kind of listen to it, not get involved. As far as members, I really don't even know. See, my wife pretty much takes care of that, and I really haven't been updated as to how many people in the United States are actually actively a part of the Covenant of Death. You know, the Covenant of Death, you know, it's mainly like a fan club, and it's great for information, and, you know, I always like, well, whatever, you know, like I answer people's questions personally and stuff like that. But see, really, it's going to move more towards our website, which is a much better thing. We don't have to fucking, you know, send out all this mail and whatever like that. So that'll be a better source for people to get in contact with us, is to get on there and get, you know, ask questions by email or whatever, and then I can, you know, get it, or maybe the questions will already be answered on the website. But I'm not sure how many people are a part of the Covenant of Death, you know, right now. I'm not sure.
Okay. Who currently leads the Conquering Covenant of Death members into the new millennium, and how is it going?
What now?
I think you already answered that, but is who currently leads the Covenant of Death members into the new millennium, and how's it going? But I think we pretty much went over that. You said your wife was doing it?
My wife is the one that takes care of the fan club.
Okay.
The Covenant of Death. She's the one that runs it. I don't know if... I can't hear you that well, so I'm hoping that's your question and that's the answer.
All right. Okay, what gear are you strategically planning to use on the upcoming Formulas tour? Like, you know, pickups, guitars, amps, strings, stuff like
gear?
Yeah.
Same gear as always, man. I use Marshall JCM 900 high gain dual reverb 100 watt tops Marshalls. I use classic 1960 cabinets with the 70 watt or whatever speakers in it. I run in stereo. I use, for my guitars, I use a Gibson-based type of guitar, Flying V, but it's made by Hamer. It's made out of mahogany wood. It's got a, I believe it's a maple neck with rosewood fretboard. It's got a 24 fret neck. I use Ibanez tremolo bars, you know, the Floyd Rose design. I use the DiMaggio PAF Pro pickups for the bridge position, which is like my rhythm sound. And then I use on the Flying V, I've got a classic 1955 remake Strat single coil in the middle position, and then a super distortion DiMaggio neck position pickup. I have a 5-way selector switch, and I have some various electronic switches and whatever for phasing and split coil and that whatever. And then for the other guitar, 7-string guitar, I use just basically a Ibanez 7-string Universe, by Ibanez, the thing that I guess Steve Vai introduced to the world. Okay, and then I go from the guitar, I go through various effects, which I'll explain later, but after it goes through the effects, which are usually turned off during rhythms, except for maybe the flanger, I go through a Rath distortion box, and then I go through an equalizer. It's made by a company called Rain, that's R-A-N-E, it's a rack mount, 30-band equalizer, which I keep it flat, but I use the level. There's like a level knob, volume knob. I have that all the way up. So those two things are basically my distortion or my gain or whatever. And then I go into the amp. And the amp, I set the preamp on 10. I use channel A. I have the treble and mid-range at about 5, and I have the bass at about 7, and the presence at about 6, and the master volume no higher than 5, or it breaks up too much. And then for effects, I use floor effects. The guitar plugs into these floor effects first before they go to the distortion. And so if the effects were after the distortion, they would sound very different. So the order is very important. So I got first, the guitar goes into a Boss flanger, which is just a little box, made by Boss. It's the purple flanger. And then I go into an MXR phaser, a phase 90, just a small yellow, or maybe it's orange, I can't remember, box with one knob, a rate knob. And then it goes into an analog delay by Ibanez, which is analog, not digital. It's a little bit different sound. And then it goes through Univibe, which is like an old vintage, speaker rotating simulator effect, chorusing something or other. It's really great. It makes it real fat, soupy for some reason. And then I use, after that it goes through like the effects loop on the amp. Now from the effects loop on the amp, that goes through this rack-mounted thing called an Eventide Ultra Harmonizer, which is a big thing. It's about $2,000. And it does the delays, stereo imaging, chorusing, and reverb, and some harmonizing deals that I use, not very much, but every now and then. And to operate that, I use the ART or ART Ultrafoot MIDI controller, the little buttons. And for wah-wah, I use a Morley Power Wah. And the wah-wah is like the very first thing. If I use the Morley, the Power Wah, the guitar plugs into that first, then it goes through the flanger, phaser, analog delay, chorus. And I'm not saying they're always on. I'm saying that that's the order, so they sound the best when they come on. And then it goes to the Rath distortion, then it goes to the Rain EQ, then it goes to the amp, and from the amp, the effects loops go to the Eventide Ultra Harmonizer, and then back to the amp. And it has a stereo imaging. Now my new setup is 2 speakers on each side of the stage, so it's like really wide, and one amp, controls one side of the stage, and one amp controls the other. And also live, we're also still going to have a backing guitar player, because we are a 2-guitar band, and that's the sound that works best for us. I could create that in the studio, but live, we're going to have Richard Brunell again. Richard Brunell's going to be touring with us. He's the guy who played on Ultra the Madness and Blessed.
Right, cool. Damn, man, how do you remember all that shit?
I don't know. It's just part of my gear,
Yeah.
What it takes to get the job done.
As far as your settings, damn, I don't even know what my amp's set on right now.
What's that?
As far as your settings, I hardly even know what my amp's set on right now.
Well, my sound is, I put a lot of time into it to make it specific.
Evidently. Killer, man. Okay, any news on Morbid Angel doing a live home video?
I'm not sure. There's no news yet about it.
Okay. When creating your guitar parts, how do they surface? Like, do you just sit down with your guitar and play until something feels right?
Then again, I come from this philosophy that I'm talking to you about. I use the affirmation, I am the living act of God, in conjunction with my true will cannot be denied, and in conjunction with I create myself as well as my world. So basically I come from this area where I understand that I'm the one that's got to do it or it ain't going to get done. Number 2, I will that it will happen. It will happen, and I will make it happen. Number 3, it's basically just going into my imagination, man. I think it all comes from there, and everyone's got that. See, the purpose of this band, this album, is right on track again.
It is.
I'm so glad about this album. The purpose is so beautiful once again, that it lifts up and gives praise and worship and celebration to the Ancient Ones, the most ancient of days, to the God Godhead, to the living continuum, to the triumvirate for these gifts that all humans have received from such deities, which is these three gifts I told you about: the spirit, the true will, or our driving force, and our creative powers. And I try to use them, as much as I can every day, and I celebrate that I have them, that all of us have them, and I celebrate that, these are great gifts given to us from what I call the living continuum.
Okay. Are you still involved with Jeet Kune Do and Wing Chun? And if so, could you give us a little insight on how that's going?
With who?
With Jeet Kune Do and Wing Chun.
Well, yeah, that's the kind of stuff I'm interested in, for that. I'm not any kind of fucking great whatever, I don't want to use it ever. It's just for exercise and for my own personal thing. I look at it as like a kind of an art form. But out of all the martial arts, I really am more interested in that style personally. I really like, I'll give you examples today. Okay, Jakey Lee. Or not Jakey Lee, I was saying Jackie Chan. I was thinking Jakey Lee. Jackie Chan. He is Wing Chun, he is fucking Jeet Kune Do all day long. And then another guy is, what's that guy's name? Gary Daniels. Gary Daniels. He definitely uses Jeet Kune Do in his movies, and he shows the effectiveness of trapping skills and all that kind of stuff. And it's beautiful. It's really sophisticated technique. Another guy, of course, Bruce Lee. And then another person would be Mark Dacascos. Mark Dacascos, although he still uses other stuff as well, he definitely uses in the movies, you can see Jeet Kune Do, Wing Chun type of techniques. That, that's basically what is, this type of trapping hands and whatever. And I think that's a phenomenal system, and, whatever. I love it. I do it myself. I'm not any kind of master at it or whatever. And, I don't go around looking for fights to try it on people. And, I'm not looking for fights, period. You know what I'm saying? It's just fun, man. It's art. It's good exercise. It's a nice spiritual thing. It's good for meditation, all that good stuff. Cool.
Could you explain what is going on in the depth of the cover art and let us in on who the artist was?
Yeah, basically it is the Great Flaming Lionhead, Beelersog, which there's a song about him. That's track 3. That's a Sumerian god. Beelersog is the Great Flaming Lionhead that comes forth and, destroys the gathering of the treacherous and the ill-natured ones, binding their hands. It's basically coming forth and purifying the earth of all treacherous intentions and ill-natured intentions, and the seed of treachery, the seed of the enslaver, the seed of, manipulative forces that would try to, control people and shit like that. Basically just burns their ass.
How are Pete and Steve doing?
He's doing great.
Right on.
Damn good.
I heard he's been going to some Burning Inside shows down there. Some of my friends moved.
What's that?
Some Burning Inside. It's a band that's from Orlando. They moved from Springfield.
You heard what now?
He goes to their shows.
Oh, yeah, maybe he does. I don't know.
I was just wondering how they're all doing.
I don't know. You'd have to ask him.
Cool. Okay, in your eyes, what remains the pros and cons of life in Florida?
The life in Florida?
Yeah.
Well,
with
pros is the cost of living is pretty inexpensive here. The gun regulation is not too stiff, so you can own a gun without a problem. You can have a concealed weapons permit without a problem. In my town, there's no such thing as emissions laws, so you can pretty much build any kind of monster car with a blower or whatever you want on it, and no one cares as long as you don't break the speed limit. Let's see what else. Well, we don't have any mountains. We don't have too much industrial shit that's like making smog, like in LA, where, even though they're on the coast, they got those mountains, and that smog just doesn't have any place to go, and it sits there. Well, we don't have that problem. Let's see what else. I don't know. Other than that, it's all about the same, man. We got crime here like everywhere else. There's things you can do. There's opportunities here just like anywhere else. And I think it's probably the main things, like I said, man, the cost of living. I think it's a little bit less expensive to own your own home and, have a nice spread or whatever, and, whatever. Things like that's really cool, and I think there's a little bit more, maybe a little bit more freedom in some areas than maybe other places. And as far as what's bad about it, shit, I don't know. I haven't really thought about it. I don't know anything that makes it any worse than any other place.
Okay. What classical composer would most likely be found in your audio chamber?
Mozart.
Mozart? Any certain one, or?
Huh?
Any certain one from,
I don't even know the titles. Just collections of Mozart, greatest hits, I've pretty much assimilated all that already. I don't really listen to it that much anymore because I've absorbed every bit that I could get out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's become a part of my being now. Like the Borg in Star Trek, how they suck everything in that they need, and then they become one with it, and then they go for something else. Well, that's kind of how I am in life. Things that I'm really interested in, I assimilate them, and then now they're a part of me, and I don't really listen to it that much anymore. I feel that I got whatever I need out of it. I listen mainly to stuff like, I like Dead Can Dance. I think as far as mellow stuff that's really deep and, spiritual, I think Dead Can Dance is definitely a winner in that area.
Okay.
Other than that, I like to listen to different kinds of death metal, like the Vader, De Profundis, and a few of their releases. I think they're phenomenal. I really like Infamy. I think they're fucking great. And like Angel Corpse and, whatever, other ones. The old stuff I used to like, or I still like, that I used to listen to a long time ago. So listen to that. For guitar stuff, shit, it's pretty much the same different people, I can't seem to ever get enough of, like, the old Van Halen or Robin Trower or Jimi Hendrix or Frank Marino or whatever. Different stuff like that. I really like to listen to it and, still assimilating that, I guess.
Right. I remember giving you that bootleg in St. Louis, Missouri, that that was a Van Halen bootleg from way back when.
Yeah.
You
sent me one?
Well, I gave it to you in spring.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's great.
In St. Louis, Missouri, when I met.
That stuff, because I was never fortunate enough to see them in concert when they were something.
Right.
So any kind of bootleg of a live performance is phenomenal for me.
Kick ass. We'll see. How wide of global spread are we looking at for the upcoming Formulas tour, and when should we expect Morbid Angel?
How wide of spread of vocals?
No, just global spread.
Oh, global.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're going to be touching all the places what we always do, which is pretty much all of Europe, Scandinavia, the States, most of the places there, some in Mexico, some in Canada, probably some in South America, Australia, and new places, maybe a little bit more playing in Spain. We're going to hopefully go to Greece, maybe some of like maybe Czechoslovakia or some of those places like that would be really cool. Maybe, shit, where else? Oh yeah, Japan. Definitely want to get to Japan this time.
Cool. When should we expect Morbid Angel on our area?
Well, the way it's been scheduled is like in March we're going to start in Europe, and then sometime after that, probably a month or so after that, we're going to go through Australia, maybe Japan, and then we're going to go through the States, and I believe that it's scheduled for us to tour with like Cannibal Corpse, I believe.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that should be really fun.
Knowing Morbid Angel to have always dominated any resistance, has there been any resistance that constantly remains a hindrance to your flesh?
No, nothing that I would give the favor of calling it a resistance.
Okay. Right on. That pretty much is wrapping up the interview, but...
What?
That's pretty much wrapping up the interview. That was the last question, but I was going to see if we had a couple seconds just to bullshit.
Cool. So can you give me specifics about what you think about the record?
I think it's awesome, man.
Great.
My favorite, I was really, fucking worried to put it in, having a new vocalist, because to me, Morbid Angel was always Dave, Pete, and you. But my favorite tracks would be number 7, which is...
Amul Mare?
Right. And I like that right after, how the rhythm goes, it like like repeats over and over, and then it has that real fucked up time change or whatever.
Yeah.
That's pretty bad. That totally caught my ear. And then the 10-minute song, number 11?
Yeah, Invocation of the Continual One.
Oh, the last lead on that's just fucking over the top, dude.
Hey, that's great, thanks.
And then I totally like Pete's instrumental, which would be number 12.
Right. Yeah, he did a great job with this song.
But yeah, I'm totally psyched to see it live. I cannot wait.